Welcome back to Bloody Elbow. Today, I am joined by Steve Erceg, who returns this weekend to face Ode Osbourne at the UFC Apex. First of all, Steve, even though you are a flyweight contender, this fight's happening at bantamweight. So, how is a bantamweight fight week treating you?
It is fantastic getting to eat extra food and yeah, just enjoy the week a little bit more.
What was the time frame like for finding out that your original opponent, who obviously stepped into this past weekend's main event, what was it like finding that out between then finding out that you were still going to be fighting and that Ode Osbourne was the opponent?
Honestly, the UFC come back to you with like an opponent like immediately. So, when they go, hey, by the way, Park's out, they're like, oh, but we've got this. So, yeah, there was no real wait period.
I imagine that it's a little bit, when you first hear that news before you find out, okay, we've still got, don't worry, we've got this plan in place. It's worrying not only because you've been planning for this for some time and had some issues with getting this, but also the travel time between Australia and Vegas and having to change all of that. To me, I would imagine that if I heard that, my first immediate thought before they've even finished their sentence is like, oh God, how am I going to plan around this with this amount of preparation that goes into coming over from Australia?
Yeah, I mean, luckily it always seems to be on the same date. Like they don't often ask me to fly out a week earlier or anything like that. So or 2 weeks earlier or whatever. So yeah, as far as like yeah, the travel was going to be the same either way. And if obviously there's no fight, then they just cancelled the travel. So it's not too much of a big deal.
Obviously, we saw, like I said, Park step into the main event this past weekend, and people were pretty high on him coming into the matchup with yourself. Do you think the stakes have changed at all in having Ode Osbourne as opponent instead, or were you always just looking at it as this is an opportunity for me to get back in the win column?
Yeah, exactly what you said. I just need to get some wins back in the board. So whether that's against a top five ranked guy, if that's against a guy outside the ranks, it doesn't matter. Like I got to show not only to other people but to myself that yeah, I can go back in here and get some wins.
Your UFC career is so unique, I think, in that we didn't see you kind of do the traditional ladder of beating the next guy, and we go, okay, well now it's top five, like this, that, right? You went straight to the title fight, and then have gone back through the top contenders. When you look back at this streak and some of the setbacks, I imagine it's a little bit of a strange thing to look at because whilst I'm sure there are things you look back on and go, I should have done this instead, I need to learn from that. You've fought, you know, the guys that I would say most people would consider the two best flyweights in the world in Moreno and Pantoja and had very close fights with them at a really early stage in your UFC career where we were still kind of, I'm sure you were confident in your ability. We were still kind of finding out where you fit in at this present time in this division. So when you look back on those losses, are there positives that you take from it as well as the negatives because of when it happened?
Um, yeah, I mean the positives are I got to fight everybody's dream fights like straight away. It's a dream come true, and yeah, the negatives are obviously I lost, but I don't think you can base everything on wins and losses. Like I've got to have some pretty cool experience to live some pretty cool things and learn a lot about myself. And I mean, I've I've fought more co-main events and main events than I have any other spot on the card, which is nuts to think about. So, no, definitely feel blessed more than anything.
Like you said, you ticked off a lot of the dreams already in terms of fighting for a title. I'm sure fighting Brandon in Mexico was pretty incredible, and then obviously fighting back home and stuff as well. Aside from getting another shot of that belt and coming out with it wrapped around your waist, is there any more dreams to tick off in this flyweight division in terms of things that you're like, I would love to fight this person, I would love to go and fight there, etc.
So I don't have like a person that would be a dream fighter. Oh, okay. Oh, this is tough. So yeah, I don't have a person so much, but there's two places I'd like to fight, which would be the White House. So I'm gonna get some bad blood with an American bloke, and then Japan. That'd be a dream as well.
I probably could have guessed that Japan would be on there. I think that's on a lot of people's bucket lists, but the White House surprises me. What's the reasoning behind wanting to, apart from the fact that it would be probably the most watched UFC event of all time?
I mean, Yeah, I mean, how many people could say that they fought at the White House? I can't imagine there'll be another card there. I imagine it's a one and done, and that'd be a pretty cool thing to be a part of.
After preparing for Park ahead of that matchup getting cancelled, and then watching the performance against Tyra, was there anything that you saw in his fight with Tyra that maybe you'd picked up on ahead of time that you thought, oh, maybe Tyra's picked up on that as well, or just certain things that when you looked at that matchup, you thought, I think it's going to go this way, and then in terms of how it actually played out?
It was nothing specific like tendencies or anything like that. It was more just like they can both strike and they're both good on the ground, but like um the how do I explain it? If you watch Tyra's entire grappling game and then you watch Park's entire grappling game, I feel like it's not even comparable. Like watching his deep half, Tyra's deep half, watching the way he transitions in like all positions, it just looks so clean and like it's beautiful to watch. It really is. And you watch Park and he got a good back take and he gets to finish from the back, but everything else is like, oh, like it doesn't look as good. And the striking, again, Park's had some good finishes and he hits hard and stuff like that. But then you look again at how clean and disciplined Pyre is, and it's like he's not trying to hit you hard. He just happens to hit you hard. It's just like little things like that. I thought well, it definitely brought me to think that Pyre was gonna handle him.
I want to talk a little bit about the man that you fought for the flyweight title, Alexandre Pantoja, and this Joshua Van matchup, because I think a lot of people will be talking about the pressure and output of Joshua Van that has been so successful for him. And I think in some ways, Pantoja has a perfect counter to that, not just in his grappling, but he seems to have this incredible ability to get the takedowns when he needs them the most, just when the pressure is kind of, you think it might be starting to get to him. He's able to pull that off. Do you think that that is going to be crucial in the Van fight? And what is it that makes Pantoja so good at that? Because so many people thought that in some of his closest fights that it was about to swing the other way, and then he seems to just always find that takedown when he needs it the most.
Yeah, I think the reason he's able to is because he's really good at those positions. Like, um, yeah, I just honestly, I think Pantoja, I think gets disrespected a lot because he doesn't look
Mm.
clean and like he doesn't look like a good fighter, if that makes sense. Like he's sloppy on the feet, he's reckless, but he's really good on the ground. Um, like even his takedowns don't look, oh wow, that's a beautiful double. It's like, oh, he sort of like fell into him and tripped him and like it just looks ugly, I guess. Um, but that sort of like he is really good. People sort of forget that. And yeah, I just honestly, I don't think Van's gonna be pressuring him. I think Pantoja's gonna run at him like a lunatic early. You're gonna get a takedown real early. You're gonna jump on his back and you're gonna finish him. And if he doesn't, then he's gonna go and he's gonna look timid on the fence. You're gonna be backing up, and then he's gonna come for, and then he's gonna blitz again, take him down, and have another shot at it. It's like I just don't see Van being able to deal with Pantoja.
Like you said, he doesn't necessarily have the most like attractive style, but I think that in a way, it's almost more impressive what he's been able to accomplish whilst fighting in a way that there are times where I watch him and I'm like, he should probably be losing this fight, but he isn't. He has that kind of trait as a champion. When you look at, apart from a rematch between yourselves, who do you think is the flyweight that has the best chance of beating him right now? Because it looks like he's, carving out a real legacy at the moment and doesn't seem like he plans on leaving flyweight anytime soon.
I think honestly, I mean, Moreno's always got a chance to beat him. He's obviously very good. Obviously, I believe that I can, but the other person I put in that bracket is Tyra. I think Tyra is really good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what a matchup it would be. To briefly touch on a fellow Aussie star on the UFC roster who's got a huge fight coming up, Jack Della Maddalena, taking on Islam Makhachev. I know that Jack was kind of hopeful that they might be able to do that in Australia. That would have been huge, but it looks like it's going to be Madison Square Garden instead. When you look at Jack's chances in this fight, I think the Bilal fight completely changed everyone's thoughts on how that matchup might go. Were you surprised at all by how that fight played out, and how much do you think it impacts the Makachev fight?
Yes, I mean, I've known for a very long time that Jack is an amazing fighter. He's really good. And he shocked me on how good he was. Like, um, yeah, he handled the grappling exchanges so well. And it's the best striking performance I've seen from him. Like, he just like the big moment. Like he rose to the occasion. It was like fantastic to see. And I really do think, um, I just, yeah, I do think that the grappling from Islam, like, he's a better technical grappler than Bilal is, but he's not quite as big. He's not as imposing. And yeah, if you look at the Dustin Poirier fight, Poirier was able to stop some of his takedown and win some scrambles and stuff like that. I feel like not only will Jack be able to do that, but when he lands punches, it's going to be way more devastating.
Let me get your quick thoughts as well. Actually, on this just came to mind on another huge Aussie star over the years, Robert Whittaker, kind of a pioneer in ways in terms of what he accomplished in the UFC. Obviously, a razor close loss to Renya Derrida in Abu Dhabi. So I don't think there's any kind of huge takeaways to take from that. I think he still proved that he can hang with the top guys in the division. But when you look at Whittaker and what he's accomplished and where he's at in his career, give me your thoughts on kind of where he's at, I suppose, because there are going to be questions now as to can he hang with the the top five in the division, which he's done for such a long period of time at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he was an inspiration for a lot of Australians and New Zealanders. He was a great champion. He's super tough. Like he fought Yoel Romero twice, and like the names he's fought and beat, it's just crazy. And where he's at now in his career, like yeah, it's hard to tell. Like he's still competitive. He just yeah, unfortunately had a few losses. Obviously the Dricus one he lost, and the Hamza he lost. Pretty I guess dominant in the end, but like he's still right there. So it's only like it's not for me to say where he is, I think. It's more like what he wants to do. If he still desperately wants to be a champion, like there's potential there. If he has had enough, then he's had enough. Like, yeah, I don't know where he sits at the moment.
The final thing I want to touch on, I heard this get brought up in a previous interview that you did a while back. I myself don't play it that much anymore, but I used to be a big League of Legends guy, right? How do you play that during like the lead up to a fight? Because that to me seems like such a stressful activity. I'm sure there's part of it where for people who have played intense games like that, you can't do anything else at the same time. So you are completely focused on that one thing, and it is in that way a good form of escapism, I suppose. But to me, the thought of even trying to do that when I've got something else that is also on my mind is overwhelming. So how do you do that?
So exactly what you said. When I'm playing League, I'm not thinking about the fight and the nerves and all that sort of stuff. So it just gets me out of it. Yes, I do yell at the computer. It's hard for me not to get super competitive. That's the hard part. Like keeping my competitiveness in check and not looking up videos on how to get better and all this nonsense that isn't actually important. So, but yeah, it takes my mind off things, I guess.
This is the other part of it, right? Is I'm the same. I'm incapable of playing that game without if I end on a bad game, it affects my mood. And so
Yes.
I have to kind of pay attention to that, but also take breaks and things like that. Does that not factor into maybe I shouldn't do this at this time or things like that? Or do you just have a lock on it by now?
Uh, I think right now I'm handling it pretty well. Yeah, don't know.
Give me the last thing. It's been a while since I jumped back into it. That's one of the reasons I don't play it too much anymore. Is it's so hard to take time off of, and it's also so time consuming. I imagine there are parts of your life where you just don't have the time to do that. How do you balance jumping back in for people like myself that maybe I'm starting to think maybe I've left it too long and I can never get back into it, but you seem to just be able to pick it back up.
Yeah, I mean, accepting that you're gonna suck, I guess, and trying to be okay with that. Is yeah, I guess my best advice.
Maybe
Unfortunately,
that's it. Maybe
um,
I can't do that.
yeah, if I get, if I try to get if I try to be good at the game, I start neglecting my other responsibilities. So I have to just accept that I'm an old man and that I can't be as good as the young whippersnappers anymore.
Maybe that's it, man. Maybe that's it. You're a stronger man than me, Steve. I appreciate your time, man. All the best for Saturday night, and hopefully I'll catch you sometime soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right, nice one, man. Have a good rest of your day, and I appreciate it.
I will. You too.
Thank you.